at creating a trip in RV Life Trip Wizard, and it's my favorite tool ever. So you can see here, this is our trip around the US that we did last year. So how do you work it? Let's give it a go here. We're gonna create trip up here in the create trip button. I'm just gonna give it a name, test 1. I'm going to say that we're leaving today, and I hit create. It's going to ask you what your starting location is. You can use your location, or you can just type it in. So I'll just use my location at the moment. And then it'll start creating a blank for you. The first thing it does, it pops up this trip setting. So if you want any notes, you can make it an active trip, which means you're ready to roll. You can make it a tentative, which is I'm still working on it. Or you can archive it after it's all done. So I'll make this one tentative. And then you hit the next button. You type in all of your specifics for your RV and then what your fuel is. I usually like to have at least 10 gallons of fuel left. You can pick what your fuel economy is. I say 9 miles to the gallon because that would be like the worst case scenario for me. And then you can have fuel warnings on where it's going to tell you as you're navigating that you need to get fuel or it's coming up soon. So I turn mine off on that. You hit next. So I don't care about toll roads. I like highways. I do not like ferries with my motorhome towing, so I turn that off. But you pick whichever you'd like. Tunnels, unpaved roads. I use the routing engine estimate for my driving times. I like to show the classic circles. You'll see those in a minute. I like to set the distance middle, medium. So my minimum distance, I want to go at least 50 miles from one stop to the next, or 150 for like a medium day, and then 200 miles for the max distance that Kurt and I want to drive as we're going along. So you pick it, whatever works for you, whatever you enjoy, or you can set it for average hours a day and it'll calculate that for you as well. Over to next. I don't put the costs of any of this, but you could to get a guesstimate of how much it's going to cost you. I do put in $5 a gallon for gas. You know, some places it's more, some places it's less. And you can recalculate your expenses for all stops, which will allow you, when you stop to get gas, to put it in there, and it'll recalculate things as you go along if you'd like. I say no because I don't calculate that. I'm not that particular in doing my routing. Save and finish. Oh, I found that I have to type in 06 right there sometimes when I go to save. And voila. So that's the basic how to get in and just create. Okay, so we've got this created, and you can see these are those circles that I told you about. So this is 50 miles, this is 150, this is 200 miles. So what I find is the best thing to do is to just simply put in what's your destination. So where am I going? And just for grins and giggles today, I'm going to say I'm going to Portland, Oregon. And you can actually pick a park that you know that you want to go to, or you can pick the place of interest or the airport, wherever it is. If you know the name of a park, you can just type in the name of a park you want to go to. Let's see. Maybe I'll do Thousand Trails, and the closest one in Oregon, it looks like, is Portland Fairview. All right, so I pick my destination. I see the park. because I've typed in the name of the park and chose it. I can look at my park details and it'll show me pictures that everybody has loaded. It'll tell me what affiliations. I can see it's Good Sam and it's Thousand Trails. So depending on if you have a membership to something, it'll tell you what the features are, connectivity, what kind of sites they have, if they have sewer. And then here I can see if they have a pool or, you know, different things. I can read reviews, so I can see what folks have reviewed it as. And then if I want, I can say, I'm going to add it. I tell it how many nights I'm going to stay, maybe 2 nights. And I don't lock in until after I've made the reservation firm. And then you can do this drop-down menu and tell where you want it to, where you want this actual stop to be. So we'll look at that again as we go on. So I'm going to add this to my trip. When I do that, it will automatically create a default path to your destination. So you can click show entire trip and you can see, well, it looks like I-5 straight down to Portland. But it also shows these circles. So I know how far in or out I need to go and if I need to have another stop. Okay. So on this side, it allows you to click through which stop you're doing. So I usually start at my beginning and I look at my circles. Now there's a couple of things. You see all of these Costco's and stuff. That's because in here, I have told it in points of interest that I want to see rest areas. You can see as I click these off, and it's going to take them off. Pilot, Costco, Loves, TA. These are all things that you can have shown on there. But when I'm making my, initial destination, I like to just have the park show. And so these are all of the parks for me that I like. But you can show filters. You can pick the types of parks you like. There's view more. You can pick the memberships, which is what I do. And if you view more, you can see there it's just all kinds. So I happen to have Good Sam, KOA, Passport America, Thousand Trails. I have AAA. Elks, I have Elks, Encore. So whatever parks you like and you want to see, you can filter those. Or you can clear all filters and you'll just see every park there is. So for me, I like to go to the ones that I have a membership for, and so that's what I do. My points of interest, I'll leave all of those off for right now. And I know I want to see low clearance if there's low clearance. So this hides that menu. Up here in the top, if I unclick that, it's going to show me all of the parks. What I found is you sort of have to get in there. Well, yeah, you sort of have to get in there so that you can see them. So I can click, that's the Squamish Clear Runner. But I first go out in my circle. I like to be somewhere between 50 and 150 miles for Kurt and I. So on my path, I'm just going to pick a couple of parks that make good sense. So I can see this one is rated 9.5. That sounds like a pretty good park. I can look at the park details. I know it's a Good Sam, it's AAA, if it's FMCA, what the features are, most importantly, the reviews. And I've reviewed every park that we've stayed at in here. And if I like that park, I can add it. Pick how many days I'm going to stay there and make it after I leave my current location and hit add to trip. Now you see it's added it here. And most importantly, it has now changed the circles, so I know I can go down in here to find my next park, somewhere towards this 150 area. That's a rating of a 7. That's an 8.9. That's not too bad. You can also look in that area. You can add harvest hosts in there. I can see that there's the Spring Lakes Elks. I can see what they say about it. If you're longer than 32 feet, please pass. All of that information is there for you as you're picking. So I think this one, it's got an 8.9 rating. I'll add that to my trip and say 2 nights. And I'm going to add that. I can say after last stop, but that would put it after my destination. So I like to pick exactly where I want it. So now Deerwood is here. You can see I'm going 169 miles the first night to Columbia River. It'll take 3 hours and 12 minutes. And then 146 to get to the next stop. That's 2 hours and 45 minutes. And then I'm in 2 hours and 23 minutes. I'm at Portland Fairview. So I probably don't need any more parks beyond that. And I can see my entire route. And you can click up here on filters to turn off the filters and turn off the map. And you will only see those items that we have outlined. Pretty cool, huh? Anyway, so that's how I do my parks. And then when I make my reservation, I click in here, I lock it. I put my reservation information, confirmation number 1122, and I save that. And it'll put this little red check, and that way I know for certain that I've made the reservation and it's all confirmed. All right, so now I've got my reservation. And you can also, in here, in elevation, you can click that, and you can see this little orange dot on the screen moves as I navigate through. So I know I'm going to go from like 62 feet all the way up here to 545 feet, which isn't hugely that big. But you can see where your inclines are. Sometimes when I make a reservation, it says 7,000 feet. Well, I know that's going to be a big hill for us. So you can change your route depending on exactly how you want your navigation to work. And I just love it. And that's how I do my bookings. And then in this little trip tool, I can click that. I can say print and print stops and map if I want, or just the map. And it does like AAA used to back in the day. They used to do the little trip ticket for you. Well, it'll do exactly that. It'll tell you your whole route. It'll tell you where you are and where you're going to. And remember, I put the confirmation number in. It'll put all of your notes and everything that you made. It tells you the telephone number of the park, how much it costs you, and all of that information. And at the bottom, it'll tell you you're going 441 miles. You got 4 stops. It's going to take you 8 hours and 20 minutes. And the cost per day is $40. Total cost $245. So you can print that if you'd like. And that's kind of handy. And that is how I use RV Life Trip Wizard on my telephone. When it's time to go, I can go into the RV Life Trip Wizard app on my phone. I can choose this trip and say navigate, and it'll navigate me to the first park. The navigation will always take you to places that your camper doesn't exceed the height, weight, length, all of that information. So you know that your path that you're taking is always going to be a good one. Now you can, and I often will say, well, I kind of want to, go somewhere over here if I take the maybe I want to go over here to some place in this area and pick that and add it after one of those. And you can see it will immediately change your trip. So it'll change it. And then it says, well, because you're so off path, Michelle, you're going to have to go back this way, down here, and then get back on your trip. It's easy to delete them. You just get to that one, make sure it's highlighted green. You hit delete, and it'll delete it off. You can move them around if you need to. And if you want to, after you make your reservation, you can put your total. It's going to cost me $67 to stay here. And you can put meals and miscellaneous expenses if you want to. It's going to automatically calculate your fuel costs, your previous stop, fuel use, and arrival fuel. And if at the beginning, if you put in exactly how much fuel you have in your camper, it'll keep tabs on that for you so that you know exactly what's going on in that arena. So that's how you do that. That's to unlock it or lock it. That's that little button there. It's just really slick and it makes it really easy. You can see 441 miles. I have 6 nights and it's going to cost me $312. That includes the gas and then any costs that I put in there as the lodging costs. So it's kind of handy to kind of pre-calculate what it is that you're going to do for the trip. I hope you like that. I love this trip wizard. I hope that you do too. It sure makes life easier when you're planning.
Annual enrollment period. There may be a plan available in your area with benefits, but you won't know unless you. Did you like and subscribe? Thanks!